much long. And it's also now at the Shoah Foundation. And there's another one, Shoah Foundation. And, you know, and I've always been the guinea pig. So they've always asked me always to do things first. I mean, including, you know, I mean, Jody approached me. I was the first person she approached to read my testimony, the book that I wrote. So basically, once I spoke to with Paula, it felt I still didn't go out and speak, but then I was asked to help with the building of the Holocaust Center in Cape Town, because I used to go back every year. I hadn't finished my everything that I needed to do, so I used to go back every year to Cape Town, and I was very much involved in Cape Town and all in welfare. I was always. I'm not a political person, but I work with the community. I'm a community welfare worker. You know, I'm a frustrated social worker. I've got 2 daughters who are social workers, and I'm a frustrated one. So what actually happened was that I met Stephen Smith, and he interviewed me once again for the Holocaust Center in Cape Town. And I got involved with it, and we became friends. And that's how and he wanted me to go back with him, and he made the first film called, the first film he made for the BBC in Midland, and it was called, and now I've forgotten what it was called, but anyway, I'll remember in a second. You know, my immediate
the second you sit down,
is not so good as it used to be.
Right.
So it's actually called The Void. The book, the documentary was called The Void. It's about an hour long. And since then, when I came back, I was approached to start speaking at the Holocaust Center. And the late Max Eisen,
That's Julie's friend.
and I think it was Judy. It was Judy and maybe Max. I can't remember. They asked me, would I start speaking to schools and so forth and so on. So this is when I started. And that's when I felt that going back to Poland in 2002 and with my whole family, it was cathartic. It was something that helped me, you know, get rid of a lot of my problem, and a lot of the stuff in my dreams and nightmares kind of abated. And I started really beginning to feel how important it is to be able to tell exactly what actually happened, and what is happening and what shouldn't happen in the future.
I know we all here are so grateful that you are speaking about it. In Jody's introduction, she mentioned that your wife, Dorothy, felt like your memoir would be better served by having an actor read it. So I have to ask, do you still feel that way after recording it, and does she still feel that way?
Well,
and are you okay?
No, I think that actors have got their place to read books, and there's absolutely no reason why actors shouldn't be able to read books. But if it is possible, particularly something like so personal that you write from your own personal experience, and you are as both Elly and Judy tell you, we are witnesses, and the only way that you can actually come across, if you tell the story yourself. I was very skeptical of new dimensions in testimony when I was asked to do it originally, and the people that were actually going to do it, the engineers, they were skeptical whether they could do it. And eventually I went for one day to Los Angeles, and I sat the whole day answering questions, impromptu answering questions, and they said, well, maybe we can do that. Seeing that a Holocaust survivor can actually, you know, be asked questions and answer, maybe we can do it. And this is how the whole thing started. And this is how I started feeling the reason how important it is to be able to impart your experiences, and that all Holocaust survivors, and I speak for everybody, for all Holocaust survivors, that they, when they tell their experiences, when they tell what happened, it does make a difference. You know, it does make a difference. And all you have to do is sit be in a school, or whether you are in Halifax or in Windsor, or I spoke at Harvard, I spoke in God knows where, I mean just about all over the world, in Berlin, in Chveisnitz. So the thing is that when you get the empathy that flows from them, you can actually feel it flows from you and it flows back to you. And that's why I felt so important. But to answer your question, why, is because I didn't feel that I was capable of doing that. And Jody said, let's try. And we went to the studio that you saw there, and I sat down and I started telling the story, and I felt that I actually could do it, and that it's important to do it. And you know, and Jody and the people that were listening to it, they said, you're doing a fantastic job. So of course it encourages you that you actually do it. So over a period of 3 sessions, I told, you know, I told the whole story, and I think today, I believe it's more important than ever for people. So we have something in common. We have something in common. We never fight.
You, who is a feminist and a man.
Wow, that's interesting.
Good for you.
I believe that women are far more important than men, and that they are actually cleverer and smarter and so forth and so on. So I have got an enormous amount of respect. You know, when I was a little boy, my father was a chassid. And all he did is he taught me how to, the Chumash and the Talmud, and even in the Warsaw Ghetto, he sent me to Malamed when it was dangerous in a cellar where we studied the Talmud, the Durah mit Naran, which is a very difficult masechta. But my mother, she had finished gymnasium, because the Ger Rebbe said that the women should go to gymnasium. He was very progressive, the Ger Rebbe. People don't realize he was a Chassid. The Ger Chassidim were not like the Satmar or the others. They were very, very progressive. And so my mother gave me Polish books to read, Polish history. She took me to cinema. And I'll tell you a story. and it makes me fun. My mother took me walking into the street, you know, in Łódź. And I was and I had read Polish books, Polish history. Sienkiewicz, I don't know if you know, everybody knows about who Sienkiewicz. He wrote about the wars of the Eastern European wars and Polish history. And I was very fascinated by the Ulans. The Ulans had these very high square hats. I mean, Polish army still wear these square hats, and I wanted to get one of those. You could buy it. So we went past the toy shop, and I saw this beautiful Ulan head, and I forced my mother to buy it for me. And she was happy to buy it. So she said, but you must show your father that you buy this thing. So I used to hide it, and I only used to play with it when he wasn't around. One day, he found me, and believe me, did I get a mapola second to none, because, you know, if you're a Hasidic Yiddish boy, you don't do it. So my mother taught me a hell of a lot, and I've never been to school. I never went to school like some people went to university after the war and so forth. So I started working when I was 14 years old, because I didn't want to rely on charity, because in England, after we finished the first few months of rehabilitation, they sent us to orphanages. And I was sent to, because they knew I was a Gerech Hasidic, and the rabbi knew who was in charge, so they sent me to yeshiva. So 9 months I was in a yeshiva hostel. They didn't call them orphanages, they called them hostels to make it look nicer. So I went to a yeshiva, and then they didn't treat me very nicely, didn't treat anybody very nicely, the people that looked after us. So I ran away, and I decided that I didn't want to rely on charity, that I wanted to work. So I found a family, at least a Jewish community service organization that was in charge of us, found a family which I boarded with, the Diamond family, and I became like a son of theirs. They had 5 children, and I became, to this day, some of them passed away and some of them are still alive, and I became part of their family. I used to earn £3.10 a week, and I used to give £3 to Mrs. Diamond and keep 10 shillings for myself. So I've always, and I was always a great reader. So I used to go to the library, and the librarian got to know what I wanted. She would prepare books for me, and I started reading and I educated myself. And this has come from my mother, because my mother taught me how to read books and how to educate it, and so forth and so on. So to me, it's very important.
Continue to whatever limited extent I still can. What influence it can be for the benefit of a better future.
Thank you all. Thank you for, please, let's appreciate Pinchas Gooder and Judy Cohen for being here this week. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, we're going to, 1 second. Jordan's going to speak.
Are they going?
Just 1 second.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm just going to go off script because we all are going off script. So first of all, Education Center, whatever the name is, because your amazing initiative, just in everything that you do, we're really always a willing partner. To Jake, who did a fantastic job tonight, which was tricky, and with the memoir. The audiobook is fantastic, and you put so much work into this, so thank you so much for that. To Liam Morales, our producer at Riddle Films, who, yes, he did a great job and came up with this idea of getting our survivors to record themselves. He also schlepped Judy. He drove up from where he lived, which is down like Queen East. If you want to go by his house, you can go say hi. All the way to Judy at Bayview and Finch, and took her to the recording studio, down back to Carlaw, and then brought her back through every session, held her hand through it, helped with Elly, encouraged Pinchas through the whole process. Also did some shopping there, and truly spent hours walking Elly Gotz through the intricacies of the back end of the recording studio. So that was a lot. I don't think we could have trusted anyone else in this process. And to Penguin Random House, who we will hopefully have exciting news soon. The audiobooks hope to be available wherever you get audiobooks, and soon, hopefully in January, we'll have a book club coming up about these books in partnership with some other amazing organizations. Yes, the Toronto Holocaust Museum Education Centre, whatever, and March of the Living Canada, and the Canadian Society for Yad Vashem. But in the meantime, we're going to do some print books, and so please make sure that tonight you take home copies of these memoirs free for you all.
Oh, nice.
These authors, and then maybe you already have them, give them on to other people. These authors have written their words so they can be read by